Bought me some new gym. Good morning. Good to see y'all guys. Here's Sean from Voice from the Dirt Road. Look like it's going to be a great Friday. I'm glad to be on the show. Glad to see each one of y'all guys. I was expecting to get our intro music. It didn't pump on. Shelly, is the intro music coming in? Excellent. Either way, it's all good. All good. The intro music is only 12 seconds. If it pops up, great. If not, that's okay. I think everybody knows the show. Hey, one of the things I just want to jump into real quick today is this. We're going to talk about a couple of things that are very important that's currently happening right on the ground as we speak. But on top of that, let me just talk about our stew, what the show is all about. And bring everybody up to speed, because every week we're getting brand new people that are following our show, which I'm very thankful for that. But in addition to that, I just want everybody to know that this is, let me look down here, this is our 34th episode of doing Voices from the Dirt Road. So I just want to thank you in advance, and say continue to support us. We're going to try our best to continue to bring you up to date things that are happening in agriculture. I would tell you, as the weeks go on, we are trying to bring our agriculture commissioner for the great state of Georgia onto the show. We're going to be trying to bring on potential Democratic agriculture commissioner that's running, and also others. Basically, what I'm saying to you, as we move through this time between now and November, we're going to try to bring different voices from the agriculture community, not in a political way, but more in an informational way, so that we can actually get the word out to the rural community, out to our followers, to ensure that information is getting to you so you can make better decisions on whatever you're trying to do on your farm or on your operation, or whatever you're trying to do in your backyard with your garden. So more to work to come on that. I'm excited about it, and we will be making some additional announcements. As far as this show, when it comes to the stew, y'all guys know we talk about livestock. Livestock is the area that I work in, a cow-calf operation. And in the future, we're probably going to move into what we call farm to table, but that's still a couple years out. And then we also talk about row crops. Row crops is actually peanuts, soybeans, cotton, whatever else that's actually being planted out there in the fields. We talk about that and what's effects that are going on. As y'all guys know, we're somewhere in between a drought and getting way too much rain. But we will never complain about the rain here on this show. And then on top of that, we talk about the forestry industry. And here in the great state of Georgia, a few weeks ago, we were having two major forest fires. I'm glad to see that we got our hands around that. But we're still in that time of season where you have to make sure you're very careful when you're trying to do a prescribed burn or do some kind of burn, that it doesn't get out of control. With that being said, everything that we talk about on this show falls up under the USDA, because the USDA is constantly trying to help our farmers, because right now farmers are in the hurt locker across the board. Foreclosures are up and all those kind of things, and USDA is continuously sending money down, trying to get it to the farmers in time so that we can keep these farms afloat. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then the last piece that when you look at that stool, it talks about the Farm Bill. And just like I reported last week, the Farm Bill is still in committee inside of the Senate, and that's where it's still at today. So as these things play out, we will dig into them and pass this information on to you. In addition to that, because it's 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm trying to keep this show somewhere between 25 to 35 minutes. I would love to get more people to either send in questions before the show that you want me to address, or you send us a question and then the following show I'll address it, like in this setting where we're in right now, or you can send it to me real time. If I can see it and answer it right on the spot, I will. And to all the people that says to me, good morning, Sean, good morning, good morning. So thank you for continuing to follow us. A couple of things this show is going to get at today. One, we're going to give you an update on what's going on with the screw worm situation. Two, we also going to tell you what's going on with Georgia when it comes to foreclosure. But before we do all of those things, one of the things I'd like to make sure that I share with you is because I want you to know that, hey, Sean is in the game with you as a cattle producer, as a farmer, the whole 9 yards. And as y'all guys know, as soon as I walk out this show, I got to go feed up this morning before I go up to Rome. With that being said, last week we actually started our weaning process. That means we took all of our calves off of the mothers. It was very noisy around this farm for about a week and a half, but now all of those have went through the process. With that being said, go ahead, play the video, and then I'll talk on the backside.
Already started the weaning process. Now we got to do all our vaccines. 5 boys, 5 girls. I'm not going to treat them for flies today because I think we're gonna probably get some more rain this afternoon, so I'll do that on Wednesday. But I'm also getting them used to going through the corral. Process. Kind of go from there. As you can see, they already docile. That's our Wagyu bull. He's a steer now. And that's going to be one of our most first farm to table. All right, good to see you, girl. All right, let's get to work.
Yeah, you know, like I mentioned, we have started our what I call my health development program. That's where we pull all the calves off the mothers, because now I think everybody's tracking that all of my female cows are now pregnant again with next year's crop of cattle calves. This year, these calves that you just saw right there is on the backside of the farm. They're actually learning a couple things. One, they're learning how to go through the facility itself, so they understand the process, so they're not stressed out when they have to go through the catch pen and all those kind of things. Two, they're learning how to eat grain. Not that much, but at the end of the day, some of them may go into the feedlot. Not 100% sure where they're going to end up after they leave my farm, so I have to have them prepared for that. And then 3, they also learning how to drink water out of our automatic waterers. Keeping in mind, prior to us pulling them into this program, they were drinking milk for their mothers all the time. So part of my process is to make sure that I prepare my cows or my calves for the next phase after my farm. And I pride myself that when you get a calf or something from us, that you're going to get a very good product to go on to the next phase of the process. If that process is put them into a feedlot out in Texas somewhere, or at the same time raising that particular calf out and turning it into a farm to table type situation, or if you're trying to take a heifer, and then put her into a show cow type situation. So again, whatever the next phase is, I want to make sure that when my calves come off the farm, they prepare for every last bit of it. One of the things I probably should let y'all guys know, when I make those particular videos, I'm not really making those videos for you. I know that sounds kind of mean, but really what I'm doing, I'm making those videos for my family, so that, because is my wife and I, we live here on the farm, but when my sons come home, whenever they come, different times of the year, I want them to kind of have an idea of what's been going on the farm. So when they get here for that week or 10 days they're home, that they can fall right in and they understand where we're at in the process. So some of those videos is just educational information for them. And that they were asking me about the weaning process, and I just wanted to share that with them. And in turn, we decided to share it with y'all guys. So hopefully that information kind of helps you if you've never actually seen a cattle operation behind the scenes. But what I will tell you the weaning process is stressful, but you have to go through it. But on the flip side of the coin, those 10+ days are going to be very, very noisy on your farm. And for whatever reason, my wife decides to take vacation during those 10 days every year when it happens. So some reason Kyle's very smart about that. And I spend the whole day and night listening to cows screaming outside. So with that, let's get into the show. Let me see exactly where I'm at on this thing. I gave you an overview. Now let's jump into that first topic, talking about the screwworm situation. With that being said, I think people are quite aware, farmers are definitely aware that we have a screwworm situation that's actually occurring in the United States now. It had been down in South America or Central America. Then it worked its way up into Mexico. And we've been talking about it, and now it has actually made its way here into the United States. And as of this morning, when I'm talking to you, we have 6 cases. 6 of those cases 5 are in Texas itself, and then 1 is now in New Mexico. The one that's actually in New Mexico is a dog. One of the things I want to make sure that everybody understands, we call it a screwworm situation. Actually, it's a fly that actually lands on a live animal that has a open wound. Okay, open wound. And when I say an open wound, usually when it comes to the cattle side of it, is usually they try to get on a newborn calf, and they actually lay lava on the navel area where they just came out of the cow because it's open. And with that, what is significant about this screwworm is, and I know it's going to sound a little morbid, but if you see an animal or something on the side of the road or anything that's dead, and you see flies land on it, and then it has maggots on it, those maggots are not a screwworm. They kind of look the same, but what I would say to you, the screwworm fly will never lay their larva on a dead carcass. It's always laid on something that's alive. And then that screwworm, when it's in that stage of being the worm itself, it actually eats the meat. And I know that sounds crazy, but at the end of the day, that is what's occurring. Now, this is treatable. Let me make sure everybody understand that it's treatable. However, if you don't get your hands around it, it can spread very quickly. And all of us, all the way, even though we know it's in New Mexico now, it's not going to jump from New Mexico to Georgia tomorrow or to New York tomorrow or wherever. However, the way it moves is if we continue to move cattle through the country, it could go from one spot to the next. That's why you got some quarantines going on. But on top of that, it's also moving through the wildlife, so deers and anything else. But I also want to encourage you to check your pets because, like I said, in New Mexico, we actually got a case on a dog. But let me pause there. And these slides that you see that we have up, these slides will be posted on my Voices from the Dirt Road social media page so that you can actually go back and study them for yourself, because we put great detail into them so that you can better understand. I know I'm going over it pretty quick here on the show, but we will have it there for you to follow up. But before I go a step further, let me pause here because I want to play a video from the Texas Agricultural Commissioner, Mr. Miller, because I think you'll be able to see the frustration that's going on right now between Texas and the Secretary of Agriculture, Rollins. And I think it's just important for us to know that if you have friction between leaders, that's when things fall through the gap. And I hope they can get back on the same sheet of music. And right now, I'm leaning more with Agriculture Commissioner Miller, is when you're in a crisis, you need to get things done today, versus talking about what you're going to be building in 2027. So let's run that video. I know I may be a little out of sync, but let's run the video right here.
Have a positive case in South Texas. We knew it was coming. battle 20 months ago in southern Mexico. The only method that we're fighting it with is sterile flies, which do not work. We've released over 7 billion sterile flies, and we have more cases today than when we started. So it's simply not working. It's insanity doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. We have a program that developed by the USDA called the SWASS program, SWASS, Screwworm Adult Suppression System, which is a bait, a fly bait. We've used that in the past. It works by killing 95% of the adult screwworm flies. Some reason the USDA does not want to use that. They want to use exclusive sterile flies. We're not going to have enough sterile flies for 2.5 years. So if they stick with that plan, we're going to be totally infested all over the state with screwworm flies this summer. We need to implement the SWAS program.
Is there something that Texas can do? Can Texas maybe introduce its own version of the SWAS program?
I'm working with the Speaker's office. I just got off the phone with his chief of staff. We're developing a pilot program to develop this bait. Once again, I have the formula. I know what the ratios are of the tractor, of the carrier, of the insecticide. It's 2 pounds per square mile. We'll get that up and running just as soon as possible. We're no longer waiting on the USDA to attack this problem. They are telling ranchers, if you have a screwworm, send it to us. Let us identify it. If we identify it, we will quarantine your ranch. No one is reporting. There's no telling how many we have out there, but no one wants to report that they have a screwworm fly because you get quarantined, you get shut down. So that's counterproductive. We need to change that. Previously, if you turned one in, they would send you and drop sterile flies on your place or the fly bait. That's.
As you can see there, it is a level of frustration. And when I say it's a level of frustration is farmers want to work with the USDA. Farmers clearly, and everybody wants to make sure we get rid of the screwworm and get our hands around it. But when you start talking about if you report it and they're going to quarantine your farm, that means your cows can't move, your cows can't do anything, you can't sell anything, the whole 9 yards. That makes some farmers very reluctant to picking up the phone and kind of going from there. Because one of the things I probably should let you know, you can go down to Tractor Supply, call your veterinarian, and we actually have the medicine or the things that you need to correct the issue with the cow. And I think something else I need to make sure that everybody understands. This situation with the screwworm has no effect on the meat that actually goes into the system. What we're trying to do right now is make sure that we don't have a situation where we have a whole bunch of animals starting to die, because that screwworm will continue to eat until that animal just passes away and dies. One of the things I do want to talk to you about, because I think it's important that you understand the history of how this screwworm thing came around, because roughly we started dealing with the screwworm situation 60 years ago. So when you hear Secretary Miller, the frustration a little bit in his voice is because we dealt with this 60 years ago and we actually got control of it. And that's what he's saying is, hey, we've been down this road before. We still know what we need to do. Do it and do it now before it continues to spread, versus saying, hey, I got to give Secretary Rollins and USDA great kudos. They are in the process of building a facility to detect flies, the screwworms and flies and all those kind of things and everything else. However, that facility will not be ready to be operational to 2027. And that's going to be built there in Texas. I think at one of the universities. I don't have the information right here in front of me. But what I will say to you is this. I want to make sure if we can make this, the timeline a little bit bigger. So I want people to be kind of able to see it as I'm kind of talking through it. But the key thing is this. Is because we have dealt with this before since 1966. We know what we need to do. And we still have all of those tools in our toolbox to get it done. And if you know or remember, we started talking about the screwworm many months ago, probably more than almost a year ago. And now it has finally crossed over here to the United States. And what we need to make sure of is this, first it was just in Texas. Now it's in New Mexico. And when I say now it's here in New Mexico, that is just in one case with a dog, but still the question remains, if farmers are being reluctant to pick up the phone or call the USDA, the question is, how far has it actually already continued to move? So USDA, farmers, agricultural commissioners in both of those states and really throughout the United States all need to be on the same sheet of music to ensure that we don't mess around and get a screwworm issue throughout the entire United States. So with that being said, again, this timeline will be posted on my social media pages under Farm Voices from the Dirt Road so that you can actually see how long we've been working on this. And on top of that, I'll probably follow back up next week and do just a little snippet on the facility that the Trump administration is trying to build, which I think is going to do awesome. However, hell, 2027 is not 2026, and we need to fix the things right now today here in 2026. So again, this thing here is actually this screwworm situation is I don't want to say it's getting out of control, but what I will say is this: we need to make sure that we're all on the same sheet of music. I'm going to make sure that all of my slides are posted. It's great information on those slides. I don't want to take up all of your time this morning because I'm already at 7:21 and I'm still hadn't even got into the second topic. But key thing, this show, Voices from the Dirt Road, we will keep you up to date on what is going on with the screwworm situation. We will also try, like I said earlier in the show, to try to get our agriculture commissioner on board to come in, talk to us about what's happening in Georgia, talk to us about what is the state of Georgia doing to make sure that it doesn't cross over and get here. Because you remember earlier in the show when I talked about my cows, are they going to go into a feedlot? If they go into a feedlot somewhere, many times those feedlots are out in Texas, Kansas, and all those places. So the question then comes into play is, here I am in Georgia and other farmers here in Georgia, will our cows be able to still go that direction, or will they stop that entire operation? And then that affects all of us across the board. So more to come on that particular subject. This is a real world situation that's going on, and we got to get our hands around it. But I want to make sure I end it this way. This screwworm situation has nothing to do with the meat that you consume. It's more on us as farmers and with our cattle that's on the farm. It's our issue. It will have no effect on the meat that you see in the store. So I want to make sure that I get that out there. All right, let me move into the next subject just real quick, because Georgia farmers are under unbelievable pressure. As a Georgia farmer, I can feel it every day when it comes to the cost of diesel, when it comes to fertilizer, when it comes to tariffs, you name it, you can feel the pressure. One of the things that as we were doing this research kind of blew my mind is you know things are tough, but you don't really know how tough they are, because all of us are laser focused on the little piece that we have. But when we did the research, we all know, because you see it on the news all the time, that Arkansas is the #1 state in the nation when it comes to foreclosures, for farmers. Arkansas, things are very bad, the whole 9 yards. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Second place is the great state of Georgia, where I'm sitting. And when I say second place, please make the slide a little bit bigger so if they can see this when I actually talk about it. If you can see it like I can see it now, Arkansas this year has filed 33 cases of bankruptcy. Guess what? Georgia's running right there in second place, almost neck to neck with 27 thus far. And then on top of that, we're talking chapter 12 foreclosures. With that being said, I won't get into all the nitty gritty details of it. But again, right now, if you have the pressure of the screwworm, you have the pressure of cost, you have the pressure of diesel costs, fertilizer costs, drought, all those kind of things, then that push more and more farmers into foreclosure. And that's one of the things that if I can get our agriculture commissioner on in here, Tyler, from the great state of Georgia, this is one of the questions I want to be able to talk to him is, okay, we have these foreclosures. What are we doing from a state point of view, trying to keep our farmers afloat? Because I am truly concerned that as more and more farms go broke, then who's actually buying those farms? And I'll just throw it out there. We'll talk more about it, but I'm concerned that some of these places are potentially being bought up by data centers. And y'all guys know that is a hot, as I'll just say it, that's a hot ass topic right now throughout the entire country. So I'm worried that here in the great state of Georgia, we got a couple of things that are putting pressure on our farmers. When I talked about all those other things, but I also am concerned because Georgia is one of the states that's building some of the most data centers, and I'm not 100% sure where these data centers are going. But we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But I wanted you to know today is that Georgia, and this information, because I do have people come up in my DMs or come up on the comments saying, Sean, you're lying. No, I'm not. Put the slide back up bigger for them. If you look at the bottom of the slide, I want you to be able to read it for yourself. The source is American Farm Bureau Federation. That is where we got this information from. So I want you, if you got any issues with me or saying this, I want you to go and check for yourself and see what's currently happening. Because I think as farmers, if we put our head in the sand and say it's not happening, then foreclosure is going to come to your farm. And I want to make sure that everybody's prepared, everybody has things in place, everybody can actually be helping each other to ensure that everyday people are not losing their farmland. And if they are going to lose it, then some other farmer that want to continue to feed Georgia, feed America, and feed the world is actually buying the land versus somebody else that wants to build a data center or build a nice neighborhood or a golf course. So that's just a Sean Harrisism. And I just want to make sure that we get that out there. But like I said earlier, all of these slides will be posted on the page. I encourage you to look at them. I encourage you to comment, and I encourage you to ask me questions so that if I need to follow back up next week, I will. That's not a problem. With all of those things being said, I want to just take a few minutes before I close out and just say thank you to all the people that have got up this morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I know I'm different, but thank you for getting out of bed, taking the time, listening to us, looking at us on TV, and listening to us. Because right now we roughly got almost 250 people watching us live. That is incredible to me. This show was never put together to say we're going to have 1 million people watching us. This show was always put together to say, okay, where's that niche market that says they would just want to have a glimpse of what's going on in the world of agriculture, specifically here in Northwest Georgia, specifically Georgia or the Southwest region, or really just here in the United States. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you for that. In addition to that, I always end the show the same way. And the reason why I end it the same way is because I know as a farmer, as a veteran, it is unbelievable pressure on you that you don't actually are the one that loses the farm. And like I already said, for the great state of Georgia, we are running in second place right now. We have to do something to stop this, because I feel for the people over in Arkansas, but right now we're basically running neck and neck with them. And we need to make sure that as leaders in the world of agriculture, we're working together, not pointing fingers at anybody, but working together to help these farmers save their land and keep it. But if you are in a crisis, I want you to make sure as a farmer, as a farmer's family, as a friend of a farmer, whatever, make sure before they make a long-term decision for a short-term problem, I just want to make sure that you can get up tomorrow morning and see the sun come up. Because if you can just get up tomorrow and see the sun come up, you'll see it's going to be okay. It may be tough because I tell you, you know damn well in the world of farming, it is tough every day. But if you pick up the phone and call this number right here, 988, it is somebody on the other end of that phone that is a professional that will help you navigate from your current situation to just making it to the next day and making it to the day after that and making it to the day after that. And I assure you, if we get you from day to day to day, it won't be as bad as you thought it was. And you'll still be here on this great earth with us, still feeding the American people, and you'll still have your farm and all those kind of things. So, hey, I know some people say to me, Sean, that's a terrible way to end the show. But at the end of the day, I think I would be remiss if I didn't actually say something about it, because right now we have a nasty situation that's happening with our farmers throughout the country, is that too many are committing suicide, and one is too many. And I want to do my part, just like I did in the military, to say, okay, let me be part of the solution and not just part of the problem. So we try to start the show off with some good news story. The good news is, hey, farming is fun. You see, I'm getting able to live my dream. I don't have the biggest farm in the great state of Georgia or in the country, but I get to live my dream. And then on the flip side of the coin, yes, there's some pressure out there, but we're going to try to be part of the solution to fix some of those issues and kind of go from there. So with that, today we talked about what was going on my farm. We're in the weaning process, the health development program, and we'll talk more about that program, not only on my farm, but for the great state, or for the great state of Georgia, but also for the United States. Then we actually took time out to talk to you about what's currently going on, a big issue, screwworm. I'll assure you, if you watch your national news, they're going to talk about the screwworm situation. It's running neck and neck with the war in Iran. And then on top of that, we came back and we talked to you about what is going on in the world of banking when farmer foreclosure, and that Georgia is running in second place. We got to fix that and fix it real quick. And then ultimately, we told you that we love you, we care about you, and we want you to be here tomorrow. So, hey, with that, right now I see is roughly 300 people that are following us this morning. So thank you for that. But guess what? The show's over. I got to go outside and feed the cows. Hopefully I see you somewhere out there somewhere. If you do, say hi, walk up to me. Let's talk about some cattle. Let's talk about some farming. Let's just talk about anything you want to talk about. I kind of know a little bit about nothing. I'm an expert. So, but on top of that, hey, the cup's empty. And today I didn't waste anything. So, hey, thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.